So coming out of this weekend, not only did Oklahoma move the needle for several top prospects, they got a win for a very talented wide receiver, but they doubled down, getting a massive win in the class of 2026 for one of the best quarterbacks in the nation, Jaden O'Neal. Today, we need to break this down. We need to talk about it and everything in between. But before we can, as always, y'all know the drill, I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Are you excited that Jaden O'Neal commits to Oklahoma? And let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below, as those interactions may seem small, but they are massive to content creators such as myself. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And first and foremost, as we always do, who is Jaden O'Neal? Well, as I alluded to in the intro, he is a quarterback in the class of 2026 who is one of the top quarterbacks in the nation. In fact, if we look at the 24/7 Sports Composite, he comes in as the number 64 player in the nation, regardless of position, the number 6 quarterback, and the number 10 player in the state of California, where he plays in Harbor City. So this is a guy that we've talked about before. We've talked about him on live streams, that he is incredibly talented. He stands 6'3", 200 pounds, and there's a lot to like about his game. The first thing you're going to notice is that he has a massive arm. He's able to make throws to every level of the football field and do so accurately, and that is really impressive and something you love to see. In fact, in 2023, he had 2,475 yards for 27 touchdowns and a 61% completion percentage. And it's going to be interesting to see how he continues to build on that, because he has nothing but time and opportunity in front of him to already be able to do some of the things that he's doing. That's very impressive. And where he's ranked, number 64 in the nation, the number 6 quarterback, this is a guy that could push for 5-star status, and I don't think anybody that's really watched him would be surprised in the slightest if he ends up as a 5-star. Now, we just got done talking about what a big arm he has, but let's take it a step further. Because Jay of Unfair Sports and I were talking, and one of the things I was telling him is, in my opinion, I like timing over arm strength. Luckily, Oklahoma fans, that's not a weighted comparison you have to worry about. Because in several of his throws, though he is very young, he's already displaying advanced timing. And what do I mean? Well, whenever you look at some of the most elite college football quarterbacks, some of them had massive arms, but there is a theme of elite timing. And timing can absolutely change the game. It's one of the things we talk about that really separated a Baker Mayfield, a Tua, is their ability to have the ball out right when it needed to be out. If their wide receiver was running a slant, the second that wide receiver planted their foot to try and go into the slant, that ball was coming out. If they were open, of course, right? You're not going to make bad decisions. But that timing can allow the offense to just move so well. And Jay and I were talking, and we both agreed, timing over an elite arm all day, every day. Now, in the best case scenario, you get both, which is exactly what you just got right now. But when I was watching Jaden O'Neal, there were several throws where his wide receivers may be running an out and they were in the red zone. So you don't have a long field to be able to show off the arm strength, but you can show off that timing. And the second their wide receiver had the cornerback in a position where the cornerback was guessing the wrong way, the cornerback thought the wide receiver was going to go inside based on how the wide receiver had positioned his body, and this wide receiver went outside. The second that wide receiver planted to go out, that ball was coming out, and it was on a rope. That's very impressive to me. And not only did it display timing, but the way he threw that ball displayed the arm strength. And there was video of him at Oklahoma's camp just a few weeks ago where he was throwing some slants, and that's when Jay and I were talking about this. Like, hey, that kid's got nice timing, especially for how young he is. That's where I think this is very impressive. You have a guy that's still going to continue developing, that's still going to continue growing into the position, learning the game of football, and he's already displaying some things that you love to see from a guy at any level. Like, even if this kid was going into his senior year this year, you'd be very impressed. I mean, he'd already be displaying qualities that you'd look at and say, okay, yeah, this is going to be awesome to see as he continues to develop. He's going into his junior year this year. I mean, there's still a lot of excitement around this kid in terms of how he will continue working on his craft, improving on his craft, and he already has some of these intangibles that you love to see. He's got a massive arm. I mean, he literally can make every throw to every level of the football field, but when you couple that with the timing, that's where I think it's so nice, and especially the accuracy that he displays. This is a very talented quarterback, and it is player number 3 for Oklahoma in the 2026 cycle. And though that cycle is a ways away, one of the things you love is getting a quarterback. Now, it doesn't always have to be a quarterback that can do what I'm about to tell you. I mean, if you look at Alabama right now, Ryan Williams is a wide receiver who should have been in the class of 2025, reclassified to the class of 2024, and that guy's an elite recruiter for the Crimson Tide. Every time you see someone taking a visit to Alabama, Ryan Williams is right there in their ear telling them, hey, come roll with the Tide. But quarterbacks usually take on that role. And if you can get a quarterback in your class early, and especially a talented one, you love what can come of that. And for Oklahoma, you now have O'Neal in this class with nothing but time and opportunity before next December gets here for the signing day. It's going to be really interesting to see what work he continues to be able to do, recruiting others to try and play with him for the Oklahoma Sooners as he continues to advance at his craft. So this is a big win for Oklahoma. I don't think there's any two ways around it. You get a very talented player who is just now really scratching the surface of the player he can be. A lot of development still to go, and I mean that is a good thing, right? Like, he already has all these positive qualities, but he's still so young. Inevitably, he's still going to be learning the game of football, learning his craft, and I would find that to be very encouraging, especially when you look at what he already can do. As we alluded to earlier, 2,475 yards, 27 touchdowns, 61% completion percentage as a sophomore, and he's only going to continue getting better. He has an elite arm in terms of the arm strength, in terms of accuracy, and the one thing that I love is it's not just arm strength and accuracy, he couples it with timing. Remember, personally, and I'd be very interested in hearing from all of you on this, I'd take elite timing over an elite arm all day, every day. I mean, you look at Baker, and I'm not trying to say Baker doesn't have a great arm. Baker has an underrated arm, but Baker's timing is insane, and that makes him a nightmare for defenses. Tua doesn't have a bad arm. Tua's got a really good arm, but his timing is next level, which made him a nightmare for defenses. If you can get both, oh, that's where you're cooking with fire, and that's where you should be very excited. And though young, Jaden O'Neal looks to have both, so it's going to be really interesting to see how he continues progressing through his junior and senior year, and how he can positively impact this 2026 Oklahoma recruiting class. But I can't wait to hear from all of you. Hop down to the comments, let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.